So you guys thought that Fusion Destiny was bad. Well, things just got a whole lot worse. Fusion Destiny, a card that requires you to play 2 bricks in your deck, so if you draw those cards they're completely dead, a card that's limited to 1, so you can only play 1 copy of it, and a card that only really summons 1 boss monster that allows you to just pop 1 card on the field. Well, imagine if we took that Fusion Destiny, completely unlimited it, took the bricks in the deck, turned them into search cards so they can just search for the Fusion Destiny, and instead of just summoning 1 boss monster, we summoned 2 boss monsters, one with a banish and one with a destroy 2, that on top of that allows you to draw a card as well. Well, that's the reality we currently live in. So if you're one of those people that really doesn't like the current meta, because it's been going on for so long now, it's actually managed to outlive the Queen, don't worry, this deck list is going to completely change that. So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I go through the deck list, if you're enjoying today's video and want to see more content just like it in the future, especially if you're a returning viewer, as apparently only about 50% of the people watching right now are even subscribed to the channel, yet nearly all of you are actually returning viewers who have seen my stuff before. So if you find yourself keep coming back to the channel and want to see more content just like this in the future, remember to leave a like on this video and consider subscribing to the channel down below. Alright, so a lot of cards in here are going to look very familiar to you if you've played Despia in the past, only this deck list has had a major upgrade, and I mean major. This deck list is gone from being a for fun kind of a rogue tier level archetype to being easily one of the best decks in the game. This deck list is easily going to be put on the tier list by the end of the week, because basically we now have access to Branded Fusion. This card allows you to fusion summon 1 fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material from your extra deck, using 2 monsters from your hand, deck, or field as fusion material. So if you guys thought Fusion Destiny was bad, well, we've now got something very similar to it, and we've got 3 copies of it in the deck. And it's very easily searchable via your Aluber, which is also a card that's searchable via your branded opening. So basically you have 9 cards to access this rather broken fusion spell. So what exactly are you going to be summoning using this brand new busted fusion spell? Well, the first thing you're going to go into is going to be your Lubellion. This card takes 1 dark monster plus 1 Fallen of Albaz, so simply Fallen of Albaz in combination with Despian Tragedy, which, by the way, since you're sending it to the graveyard from the deck using Branded Fusion, will also give you a nice little search effect. So not only do you get to summon a really powerful fusion monster, but you get a search effect out of just activating 1 fusion spell. Absolutely busted. Alright, so you're going to be fusion summoning out Lubellion. This card, if it is fusion summoned, can discard 1 card to fusion summon 1 level 8 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck except itself by shuffling fusion materials mentioned on it back into the deck from your monsters on the field, graveyard, and or face up banished cards. This will allow you to fusion summon into the brand new monster, Mirrorjade. This card, you can only control 1 Mirrorjade, the Iceblade dragon. Once per turn, quick effect, you can send 1 fusion monster in your extra deck to the graveyard that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material to banish 1 monster on the field. Also, this card cannot use this effect during the following turn. So basically, you summon this out, and you can use this effect to banish any monster on the field by simply sending a copy of Albion straight to the graveyard, which, by the way, sending Albion to the graveyard means during the end phase, you get to search for a nice little branded spell, such as Branded in Red, to then set on your field or add to hand, which can then lead into some even more nastier combos, which I'll show during the gameplay portion of the video, but basically, it's going to end on a Guardian Chimera. This card takes 3 monsters with different names. It must be first fusion summoned using only fusion materials from your hand and field, with at least 1 monster from each. If this card is fusion summoned by a spell card or effect, you can draw cards equal to the number of cards used as material from the hand, and if you do, destroy cards your opponent controls equal to the number of cards used as material from the field. It's kind of worded a bit weirdly, but you'll see it during the gameplay. While Polymerization is in your graveyard, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, so keep that in mind as well, as it's pretty important considering this deck does run Polymerization and run quite a few ways to access the Polymerization. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the deck list portion of the video. As per usual, every single card in this deck list is going to be typed out in the description down below, so if there's any cards in here you don't recognise or you're not familiar with, just check the description, every single card's going to be written out down there. And without further ado, let's get into the combos. Alright, let's get into the replays. So today's replays are going to be a lot different than my standard videos, so I wanted to try something a little bit different. Basically, the first two replays I'm going to be showing you aren't replays. There's going to be me showing you off the basic combos this deck list has. This deck list has 2 starting combos, 2 1-card combos. Well, 1-card combos plus discards. So I want to show you guys those 2 combos, and the third replay is just going to be a replay of me just messing around the ladder, just dicking some random dudes, showing you some of the cool stuff this deck can do. Now, if you want to learn some of the cooler advanced combo lines this deck has, and some of the cooler advanced plays this has, I'll leave a link to the Master Duel Meta website down below, which has a very comprehensive guide where I learned all my combos from, and it's basically going to show you everything this deck can do and all the cool advanced lines this deck has, so I highly recommend checking that out if you want to learn how to play this deck. But basically, this video is going to be showing you the 2 basic starters this deck has, so everything else in my hand you're going to pretend doesn't exist, as it's all just made up discard cards. We're just going to show you the 1-card combos. So the first combo line we have is Aluber. Now keep in mind this combo can also be started by simply activating Branded Fusion to summon this card from the deck. It leads to a very similar play that will just end on the same end board anyway. Alright, so we're activating our Aluber first. Aluber is going to be searching for your Branded Fusion. Activating your Branded Fusion, which will summoning out your Lubellion, using your Despian Tragedy in combination with your Fallen of Albaz. This will then give you 2 effects. One is a search effect, and one is the fusion summon effect of Lubellion. Now, chain blocking here doesn't really matter too much, as chain blocking for the search effect of Despian literally doesn't matter, as if your opponent had an Ash Blossom, they would have already Ash Blossomed the Branded Fusion 100% of the time, so basically, it doesn't really matter what you do here. I think it's generally better to chain block for Lubellion though, as sometimes your opponent might have there's some hand traps that can be annoying here, so generally you're going to use your Lubellion as chain link 1, and then your Despian as chain link 2. This is also where your first discard comes in. Now in a normal ranked game, you'd be discarding this card because it's a search effect, but basically, these are all pretend discard fodders, so pretend we don't have any extenders. Alright, Despian Tragedy giving us a search. This will then grab us our Add Libitum to hand. Then we can go straight into our Mirrorjade using the fusion effect of your Lubellion. Using the Fallen Albaz Engrave and the Dude on field. And now we're going to do something that's going to look a little bit interesting, as we're actually going to banish our own card using our Mirrorjade's effect, which looks even more weird when you consider Mirrorjade isn't actually able to use its effect the turn after it used its effect. So if we use our banish effect now, we wouldn't be able to banish during our opponent's turn. But we have a solution for that, and I will show you in a second. So Mirrorjade's going to be banishing our Aluber on field, and banishing the Albion, or sending the Albion to the graveyard. Then we're going to go straight to the end phase, and this will give us a search from the Albion to put our Branded in red straight on the field face down. Alright, then we pass the turn. My opponent's going to start with the A Forces, a very scary card. We better get rid of that, it's absolutely terrifying. Activating our Branded in red to fusion summon straight away, adding the Despian Tragedy back to hand, which we can use as part of the fusion material. And then using the 2 cards we just added in combination with the Mirrorjade, we can summon out our Guardian Chimera. So using Mirrorjade in combination with your Despian Tragedy and your Ad Libitum, we can now summon out your Chimera. And this will give you 3 effects to use. So Chimera's effect will go off. Then we'll have your Despian Tragedy's effect go off. And then we'll have your Ad Libitum's effect go off. So Ad Libitum allows you to bring back your Mirrorjade that you just used, which because the Mirrorjade has now left the field and come back again, you can now use the Mirrorjade's effect as if it hadn't been used on the previous turn. So it's not locked out of using it. So you have a nice little banish effect, you get a nice little search effect, adding another Aluber, meaning you can now search for another Branded Fusion on the following turn and do a very similar play, even if your board gets disrupted, or if you just want to have a nice little finisher. And then your Chimera's effect goes off. Now Chimera's effect is a little bit interesting and worded kind of weirdly. Basically, based on where you use the material to summon it from, so material on field or material in hand, you get various effects. So if you had 1 card on field and you use that as material, you get to destroy 1 card on the field. Whereas if you used 2 cards in hand as part of the material, you get to draw 2 cards. So in this case, we had 1 card on field, 2 in hand, so we draw 2, pop 1. But if you had 2 monsters on field and 1 in hand, you draw 1, pop 2. It's kind of strange. If you don't really understand it, it won't take long to learn it. Just read over it yourself. It's pretty simple, but yeah, basically, cards on field, pop cards on field, cards in hand, draw cards. Alright. We're popping the A forces, and that's basically it for the turn. We now have a nice little banish effect for anything we like, but that's basically just the main combo line for this deck. Alright, on to the second combo line. So the second combo line for this deck is simply just Branded Fusion plus 2 discards. So there's only going to be a couple of distinct differences between this one and the first combo, but they're going to end on a very similar end board, just with a little bit of a difference. So, first thing you do, activate your Branded Fusion. And just like before, we're pretending all these other cards don't exist, they're all just random discard cards. Alright, summoning out your Lubellion using your Despian Tragedy in combination with your Fallen of Albaz, same as before. Using your Lubellion Chainlink 1 and your other dude as Chainlink 2, same as before once again. Also, like I said, doesn't really matter which one you do, but if you want to chain block, that's the better way to do it. And this will give you a Search and your Fusion Summon. Now, this is where the major difference comes in. So if you're going to be using your branded Fusion first, you're going to be searching for your Aluber. If you used your Aluber first, you'd be searching for your Ad Libitum. So that's basically the two differences in the combos. Branded Fusion first, search for your Aluber. Using your Aluber first, searching for your Ad Libitum. Alright, so here, as we use the Branded Fusion first, we'll be searching for Aluber. Giving us a Fusion Summon of the Mirrorjade using the 2 dudes again, same as before. But now, because we searched for our Aluber and we haven't used this effect yet, we can now normal summon him, searching for our Branded Opening. And this is where the second discard for the deck comes in, because you'd have to discard with Branded Opening to special summon Sling out to the board, or add Sling to hand. And this is where the cool little choice comes in, which makes this end board a little bit better than the previous end board. So same as before, we're going to be banishing our dude from field using our Albion. Ending turn, searching for Branded in red, exact same as before. But now the only differences between the two end boards is we now actually have our Branded Opening on field. So this gives us a nice little choice, because like I said with the Guardian Chimera before, based on how many cards you have in hand or how many cards you have on field as the fusion material, depends on what it does. So how many cards you're destroying, how many cards you're drawing. So in this case, my opponent activates a card effect. I'm not too scared of it. Then he normal summons a second card, and I'm actually terrified of these cards. So I'm going to activate my Branded in red. But in response to that, I'm actually going to be chaining my Branded Opening. Now, if I want to destroy both cards on field, I would simply special summon my Ad Libitum to the board. But if I want to draw 2 cards, I'd add the Ad Libitum to hand. So this board's looking very scary. I want to destroy both of them. So I'm going to be special summoning by discarding any old card, and be special summoning out my Ad Libitum straight to the board this time. But I had the choice to add it to hand. Now, just like before, we can Fusion Summon into our Guardian Chimera, but unlike before, I'm going to be destroying 2 cards on the field rather than the 1 card like in the first combo. Alright, Guardian Chimera going to be going off. Giving us 2 pops, giving us 1 draw, gives a search from Tragedy, and bringing back the Mirrorjade with our Despia dude. Once again, reactivating the banishing effect of the cards, we can now use it. It's actually some really nice card art, Mirrorjade. We're gonna get sick of seeing this card art, considering it's gonna be very meta relevant soon. Alright, and we're destroying 2 cards on the field, and drawing the 1 card. And that's basically it for the second combo line for the deck. So very similar end board, exact same as before, only you get to choose whether or not you want to destroy 2, destroy 1, or draw 2, draw 1, whichever one you like. Alright, let's get to the actual gameplay now. So today's replay is going to be showcasing a very fun combo line we did with this deck that's going to be a bit different from the 2 standard combo lines I just showed you, but it's also going to be using some of the more Despia fusion monsters you're a bit more familiar with. Alright. This is actually a pretty fun duel, this one. So unfortunately, we have Branded Infusion, so a nice hand, but our opponent had an Ash Blossom, so not so nice. But thankfully we do have Droplet, which means we have some disruption for our opponent's turn along with the Ash Blossom. And Droplet has a lot of synergy with this deck, because it discards cards and sends them to the graveyard. If you have things like Tragedy in hand or your Edge Imp in hand, discarding them will just give you search effects, so... Opponent's going to search for a card, we can obviously Ash Blossom that one, we don't even be negating our Droplet, that'd be annoying. Activates Fusion Destiny, so thankfully you didn't have a whole lot to start with either, so... Tries to swing in, Droplet going to be reducing the attack. Activating the Edge Imp because we just discarded it, searching for the Patchwork. Alright. Now we'll be activating Patchwork, which gives us a search for both Polymerization along with the Edge Imp Chain. Fusion Summoning using the two dudes. Going into our Masquerade, which will give us two search effects once again, the Edge Imp Chain and the Despian card, or Despian Tragedy. Adding the Ad Libitum, and adding the Patchwork. Normal summoning Aluber, going into Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion going to be sending the two cards, same as before, same as the standard combo line you're all familiar with, but it's going to be a little bit different. So activating my Fusion effect, discarding one card, and my opponent then decides to respond with the Destiny Hero to try to destroy my card, but destroying this card does literally nothing, as this card, it uses material from the graveyard. So he's going to use this, he's going to take 600 points of damage from the Masquerade Dragon, where if you activate a card effect, you take 600 damage. So he's going to take 600 damage, pop this card, and achieve literally nothing by doing so. Only thing he achieved was clearing up his field, making it nice and easy for me to beat him to death. Because now I can just Fusion Summon straight out into another copy of Masquerade Dragon. Meaning, because I know he has a Destiny Hero monster in graveyard he wants to use the effect of, he's going to take a bunch of burn damage. Takes 1,200 as cost just to try to use the card effect, putting him at nice amount of life points for lethal. And he's gone. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, if you did, to leave a like, subscribe. Also, if you want to let me know how you thought about the new format for the replay stuff, let me know as well. Also, I do plan to do a tri-brigade branded video tomorrow, so if that interests you, remember to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.